Hello and welcome to A Cup of Conversation once again on BRT Family. Now this week I have some old friends back in the studio, and if you watch the programme regularly over the months, then you might recognise one of my guests, because Soner Kufi from the UK is back here in the TRNC promoting the Turkish language version of his very important book. And this is a book that the last time Soner was here in the studio I hadn't actually read. I received it that day he was here with us. But The Green Line, Holiday in a War Zone is now out in Turkish after the original English language version, and it is a must read for all of you interested in Cyprus. So my guest today is the lovely Soner Kufi with his even lovelier daughter Ceylan. First of all, Soner and Ceylan, welcome to the programme.
Thank you for having us back. Glad to be here.
It's good to have you here again, Soner. Now, I read in the press that you were back on the islands, but I didn't realise that you were leaving just before a very important date. Now, when this programme airs, it's the 21st of July, and we've just celebrated our anniversary of the Peace and Freedom Day. And that is what the whole book is about, the actual Peace and Freedom operation back in 1974. So really, it's good timing that you are here on the island at around this time when we're getting ready for the celebrations. But for you, it must be very unusual to think about this, going back in time, back to 74. You've written a book. Let's go back to the beginning for those people who don't know a bit about you. Now, you are a Turkish Cypriot from the UK, and you've written a book about the summer of 74. Now, first of all, tell us a bit about yourself. What are you doing at the moment?
Well, basically, I've come back to Cyprus to promote the Turkish version of the book, Yeşil Hat. Also, when I last left Cyprus, one of the forums over here, major forums, had closed down, and I had a company called Kipcom, which was a business directory and also a forum, but I put the forum on the shelf for 2 years because Cyprus 44 was doing too well. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to infringe in their business. So once I heard that forum had closed down, I decided to take Kipcom forum off the shelf and launch that again. So I've come back basically to work on the Kipcom forum and also to promote the book at the same time.
Excellent. Well, we'll talk about Kipcom a bit later on. We'll talk about the technical side of your life and the internet and everything a bit later on. But let's go back to the book. Now, for those who watched the original interview, and Marion Stewart was here with us as well at that time, we were talking about the Green Line, and basically your mum brought you over for the very first time to Cyprus, your first holiday in Cyprus. I think you were about 8, was that?
Yeah, I was 8 years old.
You were 8, with your 2 younger brothers.
2 younger brothers and my mother. We came to Cyprus for the first time, and within a week war broke out, and we were trapped on the island for approximately 3 months. So it was basically, those 3 months we were just ducking and diving to survive, really. Yeah.
A very unusual holiday,
yeah,
really, for you, a long holiday. And obviously, in this book, you're talking about what happened during that time through the eyes of a child. Now, when I first interviewed you a few months ago, when you first came out over here to promote the original book, obviously I hadn't read the book because you gave it to me that day and you signed it for me, thank you very much. You went away, I went away, and I read it within a couple of days, the book. And I have to say, I'm not just saying this now because Soner is here back in the studio with me, but it is excellent and way past my expectations. Because when you say through the eyes of a child, but you wrote this as an adult, recollecting your childhood memories, and sometimes they can interfere, I think. Maybe, you explain things in an adult way because now you're an adult, those memories have gone. But actually, the way you explain it and the way you tell your story is actually really through the eyes of a child.
Thank you. So I've succeeded.
You have succeeded. So what brought about you writing this book? 74 has come and gone. It was a part of your life there. You went, thank God, you returned safely back to London. But why come back to this time of your life? And why put it down on paper? What made you start this book?
Basically, I've always wanted to, I've had it in my head, the story, it would never go away, never forgotten. It just seems like it was just yesterday. So that's how it's, how it is in my head. So, I thought, I'd like to put it down on paper one day. Never had the opportunity because just normal working life in the UK is very difficult. You never have enough time to do things like that. So over the years, I set up my own company. When you become your own boss, businesses, when business wasn't very, if it wasn't very busy, then I'd spend a bit of time writing. So that was how I basically put the book together. It was over a period of a year, 2 years, in my spare time, jotting down bits and pieces and then putting it together. One of the main things that made me actually think, let's start putting this on paper was when my wife wanted to do fostering, and as we went through the process with social services, they delve deep into your background and your childhood. So when we was writing bits and pieces about ourselves, the story was basically coming out as well. So all that came out. So I thought, I can carry on from there and just try and write the book.
And here you are today promoting not just the English language, but the Turkish language book now.
Yeah.
So back in Cyprus, I mean, as I said at the beginning of the interview, a good time at the moment because, we are celebrating the anniversary of 74, which ended, in our respects, happily. It wasn't a very nice time. War is never good, but it was a peace operation for the Turkish Cypriots, for the Turks. And even though eventually made the division in the island, at least now both sides are, safe and there's no war at the moment. But you came over with your family, and you were experiencing, a pretty difficult time. I mean, when you came here, you went to a village. I mean, you're from a remote village in the Gazi Mausa. I mean, we talk about the villages in the book. Obviously, were you understanding what was going on around you? I mean, they were probably speaking Turkish. I mean, what was your Turkish like?
Yeah.
I mean, were you hearing what was going on? I mean, there was obviously a tension in the village.
Yeah, we knew what was going on. My Turkish was fine at the time, probably better than what it is now. When we were little, our parents spoke to us in Turkish. So we were quite fluent. We understood. Well, I understood. My Turkish was pretty good compared to my two younger brothers. Mm-hmm. So I knew exactly what was going on. But we just adapted to our surroundings and the change quite automatically, as I suppose children do, more easily than adults. Yeah.
So for you, it wasn't, you understood what was going on, you knew the urgency. I mean, there were a couple of things like, for instance, the initial problem where you had to leave the village and you were running for the bus, that was the last bus that was going to leave, running through the fields and, I mean, things like this. When you look back now, and I mean, when you're sitting, you can imagine a film, I can imagine the scenario now of this. But I mean, what was it like? I mean, wasn't it frightening for you as an 8-year-old with two brothers running behind you as well? I mean, a lot of responsibility for you because your mum obviously she had to look after the three of you, but then she was like dealing with the parents and the family. She was dealing with them, and then you had to really, in a way, look after your brothers as well at the same time as yourself.
Yeah, I guess our little hearts were pumping at the time. Running through those fields, it was very difficult, especially with our flip-flops, the soil being very hot and uneven, and you had the weeds or the prickles, whatever they were, the thorns. Which kept, slowing us down a bit. Yeah, it was very difficult. But yeah, our hearts were pounding, and when we did know, we were in danger. So,
in danger, but you always seemed to, escape just by the skin of your teeth.
Yeah, we were very lucky, extremely lucky to have come out alive.
Yeah. Let's take a break from the story of the book, and I want to turn now to Ceylan, your daughter. Ceylan Kufi, you're back in the studios with us. Although last time you were behind the camera supporting your dad, now you're in front of the camera. And it's lovely to have you here. Welcome to the programme.
Thank you for having me again.
Now, you are the lovely lady behind the design of the cover of the book. And we'll find out about the cover a little bit later on. But let's find out more about you. And first of all, let's find out about how you heard of your father's story. Now, I don't know whether you read about it or whether your dad told you as you were growing up, but what's your impression of summer 1974?
Well, I think it's a very surreal experience. I didn't expect to ever hear you going through such a thing. It's just a bit unimaginable to think of you going through that as a child. And I still remember you telling me the story when I was quite young, because it's quite shocking as well, so I remember it as if it was yesterday. And yeah, I don't know, I think you've been very brave, you handled it very well.
Yes, I think, I mean, it's an unusual story to hear about what your father went through. I mean, not every child, you know, hears about this story from their father. And of course, I mean, back in the UK, in London, really, things like this seem far away, don't they, I suppose? I mean, you're not really in any war situation. It's just something on the news happening in a different country. But when you hear that your dad, at the age of 8, went to Cyprus and got stuck there for months because of a war, I mean, it's quite an unusual experience, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely puts things into perspective, how you look at things in your life, and just makes...
Has it affected you in any way in that respect? I mean, do you appreciate life more because you think of, well, you know, maybe I wouldn't be here because my dad might not have survived. You know, thank God that, you know, he survived and went back to England, and then, you know, now you're here.
Yeah, it does, and it makes you appreciate family a lot more as well. Definitely brings you closer, I think, as well.
Now, you're the designer, and I believe you're still studying graphic design, aren't you, at university?
Yeah.
Which university are you at the moment?
Chelsea University.
And you have how long to graduate?
1 more year.
1 more year?
Yeah.
So this time next summer, you'll be free?
Yeah, I will be.
Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, it's a very good course. I do enjoy it a lot. But I'm looking forward to going out there in the real world and working within graphic design or advertising.
Well, I mean, your dad's book is one commission I'm sure you won't ever forget, and here it is now, a great cover there, the green line with the line going through the island. Obviously, the line is depicting the divide between North and South. So, I mean, what was your inspiration for this cover? I mean, were you thinking of anything in particular while you were designing this, or was it something that just came into your mind straight away?
I think we did a few different ideas and then sort of worked on it together to find out what worked best, and I guess the writing in the front is to sort of give you an overview of what the book is about without actually having to open it or read the blurb. And yeah, I think with the Turkish one, we've put some photographs on the front to make it a bit more personal, because I think...
Let's have a look at the Turkish version. So the Turkish is slightly different. We've got some photographs that were inside now on the cover as well, so make it more personal, as you said. And I think the Turkish version is a little bit bigger, Soner.
Yeah, it's just been put on a different format.
That's all right.
Yeah, you live and learn, and you know, you grow with experience, don't you? So yeah, I should have done that with the English version in the first place, really.
Yeah. Well, obviously English is, I mean, for me, when I was growing up in the UK, even though I had Turkish as well, my other language, so that's why you probably wrote the book in English first of all. It's easier for you to put your thoughts into English. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah,
even though your Turkish
absolutely.
is perfect as well.
No, it's not perfect.
Well,
no, it's nowhere near perfect.
Well, you've got Turkish as well, at least. But why go into Turkish now? I mean, you're back in Cyprus for the second time with this book. Why did you think that you needed to put it into Turkish? For the Turkish Cypriots to read as well, obviously?
I wanted to target the Turkish Cypriots and also Turkey, so I've yet to do a bit more work in trying to promote it and try and get it out there. But you know, I'll just take things a day at a time. I've published a book myself. It's not easy. I'm trying my best to get the story out there, the book out there. But at the end of the day, I really didn't do it to make any money. It was something I wanted to do, put it on paper. I've done that, and it's out the way. So I'll spend a little bit more time trying to promote it, but you know, I won't, you know, spend forever doing that.
Yeah, no overkill. I mean, the Turkish version is out now, so obviously you have to do a bit of promotion for that, to say that, look, we're in the bookshops now, or you can get it off on the net. And I think it's actually quite important that it is in Turkish, because I'm sure that the young generations here as well, who again might not have really understood what happened in '74. Maybe, I mean, obviously people know, and people have got relatives who were there at the time, but the younger generation, those born, you know, in the 80s now and 90s, might not really know what exactly happened. So through the eyes of a child, it's a good way to get everyone involved.
Yeah, I think when we spoke last time and Mariam was here, she was suggesting that it would be a good idea to put this into the schools over here. As you know, it'll be an easy read for children. So Yeah, I think it could be a good idea.
I think it could be a good idea, a very good idea. And I know that Marian's keen for you to say that this is a good present for a Turkish Cypriot friend, for any expats out there who want to give a present to a Turkish Cypriot, get the Turkish version and give it to them.
Yeah.
Which is a good idea,
Another
I
way
think.
of getting it out there, yeah.
Yeah, another way of getting it out there. But I think actually, yes, you are right in the fact that it could be on the literature list of the schools here, because it really is an easy read. Because as I said at the beginning of the interview, you say, well, it's for the eyes of a child, but you know, how much childlike is it? But I actually think it really is so innocent. The way you describe how, you know, you're playing with your brothers and cousins, you're in the streets and you're playing war. There's a war going on.
And we had
and
our
you're
own
playing
little war.
your own little war. And you know, you're running away from, you know, the kids throwing things at you, and you know, you're playing around with mock, guns and everything. You've got you found a bullet, and they made a bullet into a chain for you, didn't they, as well? I mean, these are all very serious things, but through the eyes of a child, which I think, you know, you captured wonderfully.
Yeah.
Is that the sort of response you get from people who have read the book?
I've had a brilliant response from people that have read the book. I'm really, really, really happy with the response. That was my main fear, was when I was publishing the book, was how are people going to take it, perceive it, you know, and respond. And when the responses started to come in, they were all very positive. And even on Amazon, people are giving me 5 stars. People I don't know that are buying the e-book, and I'm getting really good comments from there as well. Excellent. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased. I'd like to get a bit more feedback from the Turkish version. So I'd like to see what people think about the Turkish version. So because I'm still a bit, uncomfortable, just wondering how people are going to perceive it.
Well, it's new at the moment now. It's only out as we speak. So really, you have to wait a while. Maybe next time you come, we'll have a review. You have to give a couple of these books to some locals and see what they say. But I'm sure that, you know, it will be received well. I think that, as you said, as Marian suggested, that it should be in the schools, I think, and read, just for the fact that, you know, it really is a good read on a very important part of our history, you know. And it paints, it's not all about, you know, how bad one side is and how good the other side is, because there's one very serious bit where, you know, you thought you were going to go off the island, you were driving along the road, you're in I think a cousin's van or something, and then there's a blockade, and you know, the Greek Cypriots stop you, and actually it could be a very, very serious. It should have been, maybe in another time, another circumstance, it could have been a very serious ending to, you know, your short lives. But it changed, and there you were, your mother was taken away, the brothers were outside waiting, and if one shot was heard, you could have all run away, or something bad could happen, and it could have been the end. But actually, you got through, and it wasn't until later on, you know, your mum had made coffee for the Greek Cypriot soldiers, and, you know, in the end of the day, you were free, you know, you were let to go through, and that was it, you know. But it's actually very, very serious, isn't it?
In actual fact, what I've recently learned, which I did not know all this time, was that the Greek commander that had given us a pass to leave and, you know, let us go, was actually someone that was from my mother's village in Lefkonigo at the time, which is now Geçitkale. So it could be that because they were from the same village, that he had let us go. Yeah. Possibly, I don't know.
Possibly, I mean, that's something that's lost in history now, I suppose. But those type of serious parts of the book, telling you, you know, the actual problems that you faced, you know, brings it home to how life was then at that time, very precarious. I mean, you were passing by villages where the houses were burning, and you knew the seriousness of the time. But then again, it was very innocent for you. You still had the innocence of playing, and it was really, really hot outside. And then, of course, you know, later on, things turn, you know, there's a little twist in the tale when the real reason why your mum brought you out here was because of the circumcisions that you and your brothers had to go through. So, I mean, there's the twist in the tale, and there's a light-hearted look and a serious look, and you know, you capture everything really in one fell swoop.
I mean, even though we was in the middle of a war, we were kids and we were still having fun, you know, whenever we could. I mean, that time we were caught. I really did think that was the end, you know, and as I explained in the book, thoughts were going in my mind as to what would it be like to be dead and things like that. But overall, we were children. I knew exactly the situation we were in, but we also, you know, played as normal, you know, and
as children do.
As children do.
I mean, you were 8, and your brothers were how old at the time?
7 and 5.
7 and 5. So I mean, there you are. I mean, how much can a 5-year-old really understand about what's going on when you think that you should be on a summer holiday with your brothers and mum, meeting family and, you know, drinking lemonade or you know, eating separate food, enjoying life. But there you are in the middle of, you know, a very serious situation. I know from reports in the press and also on Facebook that you've met recently with the TRNC president, Dr. Erol. How was that? I saw a photograph with you and Mariam was there as well. How was it meeting the president?
It was amazing, yeah. I was really happy to meet him, and I was very grateful that he, you know, gave some of his time up to see us. And it wasn't just for 2, 3, 4 minutes. He gave us a good half an hour, you know, of his time, and we discussed the book, and we were asking him also questions as to what he was doing at the time. And apparently he was a doctor in Famagusta, and he was dealing with the injured, and so yeah, it was very interesting.
Very interesting to find out that about him, because I think I spoke with Marion earlier on, and she said to me that she didn't know what he was doing. You know, she asked him as out of, you know, on a whim, you know, what were you doing in '74 that time then? And he was actually a doctor at the time, so he's probably got his own story to tell in another book. But so you handed the president the Turkish version of the book. Do you think that you'll get a feedback from him? I mean, have you asked for him to get back to you and say, what do you think? You know, be honest, President.
Yeah, if he's got time, you know. I did ask him. I said, no, it would be nice to get some feedback, but you know, I won't hold my breath. I know he's a busy man, and we'll see. Time will tell. Time will tell.
Maybe you'll come back and pay him a visit and say to him, you know, I mean, it is really an easy read. It really, really flows very, very easy. I don't know what the Turkish version is like. I don't know who translated it for you, but if it works as well as the English version, then it's going to be a book that you can read, you know, if you're fast reading, probably in a day, you know, start in the morning and finish at night.
Yeah, I think you'll find it is very similar to the English version. There's only a few little tweaks here and there, but when the translator translated, I went through it all, and I was amazed that I was able to. And it was the first time I read a book in Turkish as well. But I went through it, I had to go through it to make sure it was the way I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the translator done an excellent job, a fantastic job.
So nothing is lost in translation, in your opinion? I mean, the same feeling, the same experiences that you had also translate into Turkish, so it's you know, a good translation there for you.
Yes, it is a fantastic translation. I was really happy that I chose this person to do the job. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So back to Ceylan now, patiently sitting next to us. Ceylan, I mean, growing up in the UK with a very multicultural background. You know, you got a Turkish Cypriot father, and your mother is from
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong. So very multicultural background, living in the UK. With stories like this, I mean, how do you feel? I mean, how were you treated as you were growing up? You know, was it something that you felt, well, you know, life is multicultural, everyone, I mean, you know, London's quite cosmopolitan, there's lots of different people around, but I mean, when you look at your history, are you trying to grab anything you can from your mother and father's history as you grow up? I mean, what's it like with such a varied backgrounds?
Well, we do come out to Cyprus quite a lot, and I lived here for a year when I was 4, so I just feel like Cyprus is my second home, whereas Hong Kong I don't really go that often now, but Yeah, I think I feel a bit more Turkish than Chinese.
Really?
But probably because all my Turkish family are in London, so I'm used to seeing them and the culture, whereas
Yeah.
my Chinese family are in Hong Kong, so don't see them as often. But
So you've got all your, aunts and uncles and cousins from your dad's side, so more of a link, I suppose. And plus, it's probably quicker to get here than it is to go to Hong Kong all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
Even though it's a beautiful country. So you've been here lots of times. I mean, you're living at the moment. You're staying at Gachikale, which is again an unusual location because most tourists or most people come from London stay in the most popular areas, which is in Kyrenia, Guinea area. Being in that village there as a young girl, I mean, what's it like? How are you treated when you're back in the village? And Ceylan's back, and what's it like to go back to the village?
Yeah, it really is lovely. Like going back there, everyone looks after me.
Yeah, when she comes on her own, they all look after her.
Yeah.
The village. They tend to keep an eye and look after her. If she's got problems, they deal with it.
Yeah, I came with my friend in September, so we were well looked after. Definitely.
So it's a home from home really for you, isn't it, I suppose?
Yeah, definitely.
A nice village to be at as well, and I'm sure that they'll always look after you. Thinking about the book and looking at Cyprus now, I mean, do you ever sort of try and think of any important areas? Well, this is where this happened. This is where Dad experienced this. I mean, do you try and look out for what's going on?
Yeah, he showed me the village Sutlajer, which was Ipsitlat. And he sort of showed me all the different the field where they were running and the home where they were staying, which isn't there anymore. But yeah. So every time we pass it, I do sort of have a look and think about it. It does appear in my mind.
Excellent. So you can at least bring some of the stories to life in your mind when you see Cyprus firsthand. I mean, in a way, it's a bit sad, isn't it, Sonia, that only you, or maybe there are other people out there who've written a book like this, but there are so few books like this. Aside from the history books, which just tell you the history of what happened, the military coup and blah, 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 continuing on, which is very serious in its own right. But, when it comes to first-hand true life stories, there aren't many around.
I think it's modern day life. It's so busy and, it's not easy to sit down and put pen to paper. You just don't have the time nowadays. Everyone is pretty much struggling to survive, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, whereas maybe in later life, when people retire, maybe more books will come out.
Yeah. But again, it's not really easy to go. I mean, by the time you wait for retirement, let's say 74 or any other important event in your past, you might lose all the clarity of the events. I mean, you haven't lost. I mean, it's quite unusual actually that you can remember so much. I mean, is there a special sort of is it like a photographic memory that you have of that time that you didn't, you've just recorded? It's there.
John, I have an awful memory. I can't remember what happened yesterday or 10 minutes ago, but
you can remember 74.
My long-term memory is good. Yeah, I can remember it like it was yesterday. Yeah, so clearly. When
you were writing the book, were you reliving it again and again and again? When you're going through it and editing it and changing it, and I mean, how was it? How did you feel when you were writing it again? Were you happy, sad, regretful?
When you go over it and over it again, as an adult, you realise how serious a situation you was in. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was a bit difficult at times. Yeah, and the same with my brothers. When I passed the book on to them and they read it for the first time, it did affect them a bit.
The brothers that were actually here with you at the time, because I know you got a big family. It
brought memories back, basically.
Yeah.
And they didn't realise, like I say, as a child, we just got on with it. We adapted to our surroundings. But then you look back as an adult and see what that child went through. You think, wow.
Yeah. Obviously, when you went back after 74, after that summer, life returned to normal and you carried on with life there. So maybe for the first few years, no one really spoke about it at all. It wasn't something that you mentioned every day. Probably later on as an adult, then things come back into memory and,
I mean, every time the year 74 was brought up, then the story came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we did have, there were humorous times. I mean, we look back and you think, oh my God, yeah, that was silly. But some parts of it make me laugh as well, you know. One incident was when we was driving along and the Greek soldiers were stopping us, and my mother's cousin wanted us to cry, and he tried to make us cry, and we said, no, we're not afraid. I'm not going to cry, you know. And, but then, in the end, he was, you know, so frustrated. He pinched my younger brother to make him cry, and when the car did stop, the soldier put his machine gun through the window and said, "Tell the kids to stop crying, otherwise I'm going to shoot you all." So, and then he turned around and it was like, "Oh, please stop crying, please stop crying." So things like that, you know, you look back and you think there's a little bit of humour in there. We found it quite funny. You know.
Well, you can look back and find it funny now, but again, you know,
at the time, no. Yeah.
See, not at the time, no, not very funny for you to go through that. So, I mean, you know, as you said, your family's read it, you got good responses. I know that I find it actually quite interesting that the person who makes a comment is actually a Greek Cypriot. You've got a very close friend, Maria Giorgio Christofi. In the UK, when we grow up in London, obviously we've got the Greek Cypriot and Turkish Cypriot communities, and there everyone's sort of, you know, more neighbourly, and the cyber situation isn't so, even though we all know about it, isn't so important there, or doesn't seem so important. So we all have, you know, Greek Cypriot and Turkish Cypriot friends. Was it intentional that you put Maria's views onto this book?
No, it was just coincidental. Basically, I hadn't seen Maria for approximately 15, 20 years. We sort of lost contact because I came out here in '95, and I think that year she had gone to the Greek side with her family, and then after that we broke contact. And it was only after I'd written the book, or in the process of writing it, that we somehow regained contact. And when I finished writing the book, I did, you know, called her and I said, "Look, Maria," I says, "I've written this book," which she had no idea of, and I said, "Do you want to give it a once over?" You know, because I knew she liked reading a lot. You know, so I thought her input would be good. So I gave it to her just to give it a read over. If there's any mistakes, you know, she could point them out, underline them, or whatever. And then a few days later, I said, you know, I called her. I said, have you gone through it? She goes, yeah. I said, "Oh, what did you think about it anyway?" She goes, "I was shocked. I was really amazed. She really, really loved it." I said, "You're not just saying that, you know." She goes, No, she was totally dumbfounded. She couldn't believe I've come up with a story like that. And she knew nothing about my past anyway with the cyber situation, although we were friends from college. And then I said, "Oh, okay, if you liked it that much," I said, "Would you like to write a couple of lines?" You know, she goes, "I can't do a couple of lines," because she's a very chatty person. She says, "I can do you a little write-up." I says, "Okay, then do me a little write-up and I'll put it on the back of the book or something, you know." So and she came up with that, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to put that at the very beginning, because it was such a nice comment coming from
very nice
a Greek person.
I mean, I don't want to detract from people buying the book, but I just have to mention this because I think it's just really ironic that, you know, you're talking about the cyber situation, you're a Turkish Cypriot writing about your experience in '74, and a Greek Cypriot friend has the courage to, you know, speak out about the book. She says, "I'm Greek Cypriot, Sonet is not. That is apparent in this book. He's my friend and I've known him since we were at college together, but nothing prepared me for this book. The memories he now shares with you are ones that even I have never been privy to. It's an honest book, neither hyped nor unapologetic, and is a must-read for both Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots of our generation. Cry, with laughter you will, parts will shock you. He conjures up some images we, from the island, are all familiar with, some, thankfully, not." Well, I think that is a really nice way to introduce the book, and even though we've given away many clues, you really have to buy the book to get into Sonet's story and to find out what happened in the summer of '74 and about your family and about what you experienced here. I know that you recently had a book signing, and in fact today, as we record this programme, we have the fresh midweek Cyprus Day book tells a family caught up in the '74 war, and here you are. You had a book signing at the bestseller bookstore in Karakum, and how did that go then on Saturday?
Not as well as anticipated that it would go. I advertised too late, really, so and I was mainly targeting the Turkish community. So the advert went in on, it was supposed to go in on the Friday, and there was a mess up. Eventually it went in on the Tuesday, so there was a small ad going out in one of the papers for 4 days prior to the event, and a few people turned up, but nothing major.
But I mean, as you said, I mean, maybe a lack of timing, and it's very busy. I mean, you're a very busy person, as you said. You know, you're running around trying to promote the book. You went to the press. I mean, you've done quite a good thing, actually. I mean, you know, going to the right places. It's just now time for us to get the book in Turkish or in English, whichever language we prefer, and to make our own minds up about the book. Where is it available now? I mean, obviously online. You know, you're selling it. You mentioned Amazon earlier on.
Yeah, you can buy both the Turkish and the English ebooks and paperbacks online through Amazon.co.uk. You can also buy it on my websites, which is yeshilhut.co.uk or thegreenline.co.uk. And also it's on sale at Bestsellers in Karakum, in Gimne. I'm trying to get it into other bookstores in Cyprus, but no luck so far.
But I'm sure, you know, perseverance and it will get recognised. I think it's a very valuable addition to any library, any household or school. So I hope that, fingers crossed, it will be read by many people of any generation. I mean, Maria says our generation, talking about, you know, people in their 40s or whatever. But I think, you know, youngsters like Ceylan, your daughter, will enjoy it. I mean, you enjoy it, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Would you recommend it to your friends? And I mean, have any of your close friends read this at all?
No, I'm trying to, a couple of people have asked to read it, so I'm going to give it to them and get their opinions on it. But I think everyone would enjoy it. I think it's good for any ages, really.
So it's something that you recommend to other people to delve into and read in and find out more about, not just the type of situation, but, you know, just about any conflict around the world. I'm sure, you know, people can, you know, from around the world can maybe relate to this in some way. As I said, maybe in England it seems far away for us, but at least with your connections here, you can relate to it. Now you've seen the country as well, and you've seen what's going on. Designing this cover, has that prompted you to think about a career after this? I mean, have you got anything planned up now that you've got 1 year left at university? Where do you want to go after this?
Well, at the moment I work on weekends as a photographer in a studio, so I've been doing that for the past 5 years now, part-time, but I think I actually want to go into advertising, so I've just recently done an internship with a company called Rattling Stick. They're quite a good up-and-coming company, and hopefully get some freelance work this summer with them, and fingers crossed maybe a job out of it. So excellent. Hopefully that I'll go down that way.
But at least on your CV you can say that you've done a design for a book as well. Yeah. So, you know, any experience is a good experience for you. But are you proud of yourself and of your father when you look at this final, you know, published edition and it's up on the shelves? I mean, how do you feel? You know, wow, I did that, or?
Yeah, it is definitely an achievement. I think, yeah, I do.
I mean, Ceylan helps me out quite a lot now. I mean, you know, from, you know, been web developing for the last 12, 13 years, and I've trained Ceylan at, you know, at early age. So she's got her own web business as well, and printing business. And when I do designs as well, sometimes I ask her for some help now. So she's much better than me. So I pull on her experience a lot. So, you know,
excellent. Speaking of the web, let's conclude by talking about KIBCOM, which you mentioned at the very beginning of the interview. Now, as you said, one of the forums, the major forums, closed down. And so now you've got this scope to, you know, open up another forum. How has the forum been since it opened a few months ago? It's
grown very fast.
Do you have any membership numbers?
Yeah, we've got over 2,100 now, possibly up 2,200. I reckon by Christmas we'll hit the 3,000, possibly 3,500. It's growing at quite a fast rate.
So every day new people are logging on?
New people are joining, registering, yeah. And it also helps the business directory, which has been going for 2 years, KIPCOM business directory. So, you know, people that have businesses and they've joined the forum, they automatically register their businesses so on the directory. So it's good, really good. I'm really happy with the way it's going at the moment.
So, I mean, based in the UK, I mean, you're moderating the forum yourself. Previous forums, there were quite heated debates about, you know, every topic under the sun related to Cyprus, or even sometimes not related to Cyprus. But are you controlling, moderating? Are you trying to make sure that everything is?
Yeah, we've got several moderators, and we're keeping a close eye on all the topics and all the replies. What we do not want is personal attacks on people, personal attacks on businesses. So, you know, if there's anything nasty out there, we take it off straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no need for it. It's a place for, you know, asking questions. You know, trying to find out something that you need to know. You want to buy something or you want to sell something. It's a really good portal for that sort of thing. We don't need trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, anyone that tries to cause any trouble, because people do like a bit of conflict.
Yeah.
But then it can get too far, and when it does happen, we just, you know.
Yeah. And the whole idea, I suppose, at the end of the day, is just to bring everyone together. If there's a problem, sort it out. You know, if you want to find out more information about this island, again, you can give them information, and you know, everyone comes together under the banner of KIPCOM. So, you know, people are logging on, registering every day. So if anyone wants to find out more, they can join you at KIPCOM.
Yeah,
that's
just
the address.
Register, or just go to www.kipcom.com.
I know recently you had a little bit of a competition, didn't you, with Cyprus Star, a newspaper, giving away coupons and then registering and a flight, I believe. How did that come out in the end? I mean, has that been finalised now?
Yeah, we had the draw on BRT TV last week Sunday, that passed. And yeah, we picked the winners. We had three gifts, the first, second and third prize. And the first prize was 2 tickets to the UK, or vice versa. And yeah,
that's
we picked
the lady.
the winner.
That's
that
the lady
was
who
Angela,
won.
that one.
Oh, right, so congratulations to Angela Bisley. So she's pictured there with you at the book signing. So it was busy for you at the moment, you know, with the internet and with promoting the book. Although I don't know, I can't remember if I asked you last time when you were here, but is there maybe going to be a follow-up? I mean, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us, literature-wise? Or is this your one story, life story, that's it, this is what you're getting from Sonia Kufi, that's it?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's been asking for a follow-up, but I'm not quite ready yet. Maybe in the next 5-10 years, we'll see.
Maybe you should come back again on the 20th of July.
Yeah.
Maybe in 2 years' time, so maybe it could be the 40th anniversary. And then, you know, walk around the places, bring back some memories, meet with some, maybe you could do some interviews with some cousins who are around still. I mean, how many people do you think are still, or bring your brothers with you as well, bring the 2 younger brothers, and meet any other family members who are still alive and around, and maybe just, you know, see how you feel 40 years later, how things have developed. That could be an idea for you.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows, Sonia, where things will go?
No, yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. But thank you very much for coming in today and sharing your views with us at this very special time. I think it's quite a good coincidence that, you know, we're now ready to celebrate the anniversary again of 20 July 74. We've got the celebrations. I mean, have you been? You should have been invited, really.
Yeah, I messed up, didn't I?
Yeah, I think you should have stayed around. But I mean,
yeah, I should
this
have.
week, I mean, the build up is, you know, here. I don't know whether did you see any of the jets flying? They had a rehearsal yesterday.
No, I didn't.
Well, over Guinea they had the jets flying, rehearsing for the ceremony on Friday. But you know, maybe I think next time you should coincide your break and have a real holiday during this time and see how you feel being back on the island when everyone's celebrating.
Yeah.
You know, should we be celebrating? Can I celebrate this time? I was actually here in a war. You know, maybe it's an eye-opener for you, maybe, to be here at that time. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, maybe next year we'll bring our 2 younger brothers. That would be good.
Yeah, bring them out, or at least 2014.
14, okay.
Think about that. You know, it's a good anniversary then. Think of that, Jane. Remind your father to bring your uncles as well here. And think how you'll feel with a reunion on the island at that time. Something to look forward to, I think. But anyway, once again, thanks a lot for coming, Sonet. And thank you, Ceylan. Good luck with your final year at university.
Thank you.
And who knows, I don't know whether you've got a plan to come back again in the summer or whenever, but hopefully see you here again soon. And thank you for designing a wonderful cover to a very, very interesting book. And I advise everyone, you know, English speaking, Turkish speaking now, you've got no excuse if you don't know English. Turkish is the language now that the book has been translated into. Read it, an excellent book and a great gift, as Marion Stewart would want Sonia to promote. If you have a Turkish friend, you can now give the Turkish language book to your Turkish friend. And if you're Turkish and you've got an English speaking friend, then give the English language version to that person as well as a gift. Definitely a good buy. But thanks for coming to the programme, Tilif Gosha.
Thanks for having us.
Have a safe journey back to the island, to the
UK.
Original island, to the bigger island, to the UK. And hopefully see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And with that, we've come to the end of a couple of conversation for this week. And I'd like to wish everyone, even though it was yesterday, a happy 20th of July Peace and Freedom Day. And until we meet again next week, take care. Bye-bye.